the sun. Stovepipe straight, beard like wire, eyes like thunder, voice like fire. That buried the truth in 65, but the man came back just to testify. No halo, no ghost, no holy show, just a dinkus walking tall and slow. I don't want your drama, I don't want your spin, I don't want the lies that the lies live in. Give me the raw truth, cut it clean with a blade. Abe Dinkus is back, don't make me say it again. No flags to wave, no teams to cheer, just honest words in a dishonest year. From the grave I rose for one simple thing, the truth, the whole truth. Let freedom reign. I see the screens, divided houses, broken dreams, politicians dancing in their fancy suits, selling poison wrapped in pretty fruits. I split rails once, now I split the noise. Left, right, center, all the same toys. I ain't here for vengeance, I ain't here for fame, just one old rail splitter calling out your game. I don't want your drama, I don't want your spin, I don't want the lies that the liars live in. Give me the raw truth, cut it clean with a blade. Abe Dinkus is back, don't make me say it again. No flags to wave, no teams to cheer, just honest words in a dishonest year. From the grave I rose for one simple thing, the truth, the whole truth. Let freedom reign. Your savior, I'm not your brain, I'm just a dead man with a living demand. I don't want your drama, I never did, just the truth standing tall like I always did. Abe Dinkus walks among the living still, honest Abe resurrected, unbreakable will. Tall hat shadow fades into the night, but the words remain in the morning light. Oh.
Well, good evening, fantastic people. Good evening. So I know I'm a little bit late. I was going to be here at 7, but I ended up getting that pushed back a little bit. So, who all? Welcome in, Bricky. It's good to see you this fine evening. So, I don't have a whole lot planned for this evening, but did want to hop in and good to see you, Axel Foley. Just figured I'd jump on here and talk a little bit, about some of the plans that I have coming. I know that I have talked to you guys about some of the future plans for the show. Oh, welcome in, Locke. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm not going to shout out this weekend, but there is something happening this weekend that's going to be a lot of fun for everybody that's a regular viewer. You should make sure to show up. I'll try to schedule it ahead of time. I don't know the date and time yet. I don't have it ironed out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Tonight, I was thinking about doing a Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, but It Is Your Fight episode, but I don't have enough prepared fully for that at the moment. So I kind of decided that I was going to talk a little bit like in precursor mode to Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, but It Is Your Fight. One of the things that's been on my mind recently is um, not even just young men, but men in general, over the last several decades, have had to contend with this, what I like to call Peter Pan syndrome. And this is not an insult. This is because of the way that the world has developed over time. What has happened is men are often forced to function still within boyhood. And because of that, the society that surrounds us never gives us the opportunity or the training to act as men in our own lives. Uh, Key point, a father who never allows a man to act as a man moving into adulthood, or a society that doesn't allow him to make any independent decisions, and then also absolves them of choices made all the way up until adulthood and possibly into adulthood. Also, there's plenty of young men out here who never get taught how to interact with women as adults. They don't get taught a lot of things. And so what we end up with is a society filled with a lot of lost boys, right? And I've made comments recently in my chat, but also in other chats, that a lot of the world, America specifically, when you look out there, it looks like a whole lot of adolescence. It doesn't look like what we think of as adults from like 1950s. Or when you watch older movies, you see the interactions between people, whether it's spouses or people in general, and you don't see the same level of maturity in our current world. What you see is, again, basically high school behavior extended all the way into your 50s, 60s, into death, right? And I think that part of what I want to talk about in Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, but It Is Your Fight, is that paradigm that men aren't being taught and shown how to be men. And I know that there's a certain degree of that that's natural, but the problem is the natural part is the aggression, is the maleness that it is to be a man. And what happens is, when it's not taught, tempered, and trained over the years to be an effective man in one's own life, what you get is all of that aggression built up, anger built up, and a lack of ability to use it in the world around you, right? We live in a world right now where everything's corporatized. Everything's like a 9-to-5 job. What it meant to be a man over the course of the last 200 years. Think of the pioneers. Think of men who went to battle, in the Middle Ages. Look at all of these things we see in the past. And then here we are today, where your aggression is frowned upon. Your ability to adapt and overcome is seen as some weird toxic thing. Your want to fix the things around you is seen as weird actions and weird behavior. Just go get a new one. Just do the thing. Just go to work. Just work for that person. And what it does, I think, is it stifles men's ability to realize their potential and to have purpose in their lives. We end up with this weird consumerist outlook, which is not masculine. The consumerist part of human nature is, I would say, is more feminine, generally speaking. The procurement of security and goods and all these protections, men are supposed to be out adventuring. Yes, we procure those things, but it's not all about those things. It's about the purpose and the drive and the overcoming and the building of something, right? I would posit that it's the building of self. It's to build yourself into something more, so that you can do more. And I don't think that the world we've built around us I don't think it's impossible to function that way, but I think that it's stifled, and then men or young men are not trained in their daily life to become that thing. Good evening, Mike. How are you? Huh? what I think is important for us to realize is that there is all this drive and this potential, and it's important for us to foster that in the young men. Um, so in the young men, it's not your fault, but it is your fight. I really want to go over that portion as well as the other things, right? There's a bunch of things that men need to have built into them over time. They need self-discipline. They need courage. They need a sense of duty. They need purpose. And when they don't have purpose, they need to know how to find or develop purpose within their life. Um, I think that men should be oriented towards God. Others may not agree with this, but I think that that God-centered orientation actually is a driving force that makes a man unstoppable in his own life. It also teaches him more about how masculinity and patriarchy works within his own life. With God at the headship of his life, and then himself at the headship of his family and his actions and choices, as well as his accountability, his responsibility to his self, his community, his family. All of those things are extremely important, and I don't think young men are ever taught these things. They're not even taught basic civics or those types of things. Now, does that mean that I don't think that women also need work? I do. I think that the young women of this world also need work, but I am not a young woman, and all I could give them is the basic outside view of what would need to happen. But I think that if men were acting in their own lives as men ought to act, again, like I said, I think this is partially the way that society has set itself up over the last several decades. We see men less capable of stepping into what it means to be a man. And that also has affected women with the feminism and all the women's rights movements and all this do what you want type of lifestyle. Well, there's a counterbalance between male and female natures. And if men are not doing what men do, females will stop seeking men because there's not a dominant, well-grounded male to follow in their life, then they're not going to do it. You look at, I've seen this many times where women don't even know what they're looking for, especially if raised incorrectly. Same with men. If they're raised in a very strange manner, where they don't have a two-parent household, where they've never been shown how the dynamics work for successful family building, they have to learn that outside on their own instead of how they should have learned it in their own household growing up. And so what we see young men who are never stepping into manhood, and we see young women that are never seeking the position of the feminine role in the world itself, and everything is off kilter because of it. So that is one of the principles I want to talk about in the young men. It's not your fault, but it is your fight, is the Robin Hood complex that has developed where young men become lost boys. And because everything is so out of whack, there's nothing to pull things back into place. Women aren't stepping into the role that they should be in, and men have been have been placed where it's harder and harder to step into the role of man. But when you see it, it's completely obvious to you. I would say there's a lot of young men out there who are saying, I can't find a woman. There's no good women. All the women are on dating sites, or all the women are doing OnlyFans, or all the women are doing this or that. Well, that's partially because all of the media that we consume, the news, the internet shows, the red pill, everywhere you look, it's telling you how bad it is, how impossible it is. Everything's telling young men, don't get married, don't start families. We have a birthing crisis that's out of control. And the only way to solve that is firstly, for men to step back into the position of control and dominance and patriarchy and do it right, not some slave master version of what it is to be a man. Just step into that dominant role and lead. Another one is to stop the extreme degeneracy. If there was not men across the board willing to pay for pornography and pay for OnlyFans, then OnlyFans couldn't get off the ground and exist the way that it does. So part of it is on the man side of the entire thing. Men have to stop allowing that, and they have to vote against those kinds of things with their wallet. As long as we're paying for women to get naked on the internet, then they're going to keep doing it because the men will keep paying. So that has to be yanked back. Men have to take back their stoicism, take back their self-control, their self-discipline, and they have to be dominant leaders who are upright and taking godly action in their lives. So that's one huge step. And then binding homes back together. Two-parent households are very important for building successful individuals, whether it's male or female. Men learn to be men from their fathers. Women learn to be good wives and mothers from watching effective mothering. And I think that some of these steps have to be taken. So, like I said, with the show that I want to do, Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, But It Is Your Fight, I'm going to try to break down everything I can for things that we should be aware of as men in our own lives, how to carry those things out on a daily basis. I think that those are super important. Another thing that I was going to bring up tonight is, after talking to my wife for a bit today, we had some serious laughs about some of the things that we've seen and that I've said. And I think I'm going to start doing some members only streams, specifically with the theme of Dark Abe. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you get yourself a membership, because there is going to start being Dark Abe members only streams in the near future. I will try during my live streams to let you know that's a Dark Abe conversation. We're going to take it there, and then I will make notes of it, and we will cover the Dark Abe specific topics there. What kind of led to this conversation actually was we were in Walmart, and you know how on the internet we say things, right? Like, we're not afraid to call people retarded or stupid or, you know, whatever different names we want to call them. Well, in public, in general, you kind of avoid just, you know, calling people retarded to their face in public places, because you have a certain level of civility. But we were walking around Walmart, and we all kind of know what Walmart people means, right? So people are blocking up the aisles left and right, and I am getting more and more frustrated because I just want to get our stuff and move along. Well, we get stuck behind this probably 500-pound woman on one of the go-karty Walmart carts, right? And I can't get past her, and finally she moves, and I'm like, good Lord, you have to use that because you're super overweight, not because you're hurt, right? You don't have a disability, you're just a fat ass. So we end up getting more stuff, and we grab the milk and get the eggs, and we're heading over to the cheese section. And sure as shit, this giant ass woman is parked in front of the cheese. Hold it. Not just one. Oh, another huge fat woman, both with super short haircuts, probably 500 pounds each, both on electric carts. It's parked in front of the cheese. And all I could think is, does this fat ass really need cheese? You need cheese. And they're blocking the entire cheese aisle, these two huge women in these carts. And I just stood there looking at them like, what are you doing? Nobody can even get to this stuff. You're just sitting there, have a conversation. You're both super overweight. What do you need more cheese for? So we wandered off. I didn't say it to them, to their faces, but I wandered off, and I have this look on my face like I am in astonishment. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And my wife looks at me, and all of the stuff I'm saying to you right now just burst out right in the middle of Walmart. And I was ranting because it was so ridiculous. There's like 1,000-pound woman on two carts in front of the cheese aisle, and nobody can get to the shit. I'm getting more and more angry. And and I'm just ranting out loud in the middle of Walmart. And my wife is just laughing her ass off, just laughing, laughing, laughing. And after a while, we get back to the car, and she's like, that's what your audience would like to see. They'd love to see that kind of attitude from you, where you're just outright saying what you feel. And in those funny moments, it'd be nice to have some way to record it, because I will go off the handle and get real pissed. And I guess what I say when I'm like that is quite funny. So those are the kinds of things that should be placed on here. Some stories like that for you guys to dig into, because I definitely do have those moments. I'm nice, I'm easygoing on here, but there's definitely that side of me where I get a little frustrated, and I let it out. It just comes right out my mouth, and it's pretty mean, but hey, it's got to be said sometimes, right? So that'll give me a little bit of an outlet, and you guys the enjoyment of hearing some Dark Abe moments in the very near future. Now, I didn't intend to do anything really long form this evening. I didn't want to do any long panels or anything like that. I didn't have anything crazy planned. I was writing a script for the Peter Pan complex, or the Lost Boy complex, that I was writing about. And it kind of dovetails into the way that being a man in America in modern times has been affected. But then that also dovetails into what being a woman in modern day America means as well. And the dynamic is gross, because what happens is men stay effectively lost boys. Women end up taking the place of, I don't even know what you would call it, like non-woman, non-men employment that are seeking fun and enjoyment, but don't want to make a family and don't want commitment. And so it becomes this really messed up dynamic for men and for women. So I think there's several identifiable things that could be fixed in general populace, but we have to make the effort as men, and we have to, by doing it as men, coax women back into the position of femininity that they belong in. And there's plenty of women out here that are working towards that, right? We see Rachel Wilson casting down feminism, and even my wife today was saying how stupid it was, and that all of these movements are just doing further damage. And that's the other part. Mrs. Abe will probably be doing some reviewing with me or panels with me in the future, so you guys will get to meet her. I think that will be exciting as well. Good to see you, Scott. Good to see you, Seth. Good to see you, Mr. Yes, we also need to do that, Mr. We need to deport the invaders, those who come into our country illegally, not because they're seeking amnesty, not because they're seeking actual help, but because they're using or taking advantage of the ease of entry and the wealth they can ferret away from the United States. There is a time and a place for people in need that need to be saved or helped or cared for, and that is not what we are seeing. We are seeing an invasion of basically military-age men. And by the way, I will say that Trump has done quite a bit. I have seen and noticed a difference in my own state. This Walmart story actually is a good segue to that, because sure, there was giant women that looked like Butch Dykes together on their electric carts that could barely move because they were super overweight, blocking the cheese. But there was far less, only Hispanic speaking Mexican people in the Walmart. All last summer, and basically all the last year before that, if you went to my Walmart, and this is, by the way, in northern Montana, like we're on the border of Canada almost, you would go in there and it would be Mexicans all across the front of the store, like in the fresh food, getting stuff. You go down the aisles, you couldn't go down basically one or two aisles without seeing either an individual Mexican man that was between the ages of like 20 and 40, right? All over the store, or whole families of speaking Spanish as a family in the aisles. And this last month I've been going, I see very few, one or two in the whole store. And it was literally, like I said, just last summer, wall to wall, all the time. There was Hispanics throughout the whole store. And I'm like, I live in Montana. Why is there like tons of Mexicans in a Walmart in the middle of Montana? This doesn't even make sense. And they're speaking only Spanish. If you ask them to move their cart, they only speak Spanish to you. And I'm like, I don't even understand what's happening. It doesn't even make sense to be this far north. I would understand if you cross the border illegally, you being in Texas or Arizona or California or a state that's like touching the country you're from. But no, all the way to the north of the United States, like what are we talking about? 2,000 miles? That's wild to me. So yes, that needs to be completely brought under control. We have the birthright citizenship stuff coming up soon. That's another thing that needs to get talked about. But I think all of this plays into everything, right? We have, because of this lost boy complex, what we have is a bunch of males unwilling to stand up for what they believe and do what needs to be done as men to take their place of leadership and build families, but also to stand against the injustices and the wrongs that are being done in our country, the illegalities being done by the government. They need to actually step into being men. And we haven't seen that in several generations, mostly because of the way, one, we've been trained, and two, how family structures have fallen apart because of the changes in law, the changes in culture that have been allowed to seep in. Feminism, no-fault divorce, all of these things. So, I mean, some people do know what they believe. I think that there is an earnestness in some. The problem, though, Smoking Spaceman, is my point is that men aren't developing the ability to function as men because of the way that society has become, whether it's the feminists' agenda that has changed how everything is done and women infiltrating all of men's spaces, whether it's the entirety of popular culture has told men to act less male, less masculine. There's less purpose, less adventure, less going out and conquering your life by men, and it's because of the dampening down of the male spirit, whether it's in public school or television shows or every popular media we see. Also the feminist movement saying that men shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, shouldn't, all these things that have made men feel like they can't even approach women without the woman screaming harassment and the man getting in trouble. And then you, on top of all of that, you also have the red pill space that's amping up things like what I'm saying to a level where it's not even true. It's not happening on the level that they're saying it is. So what happens is it goes from, these are a data point, a book of data points for you to look at, the red pill. But when you go through these things and then you watch popular media of any kind, you end up feeling like there is actually advice being given here to never build a life as a man, which is terrible. And I'm seeing it more and more and more. And I think that men have to grab their lives by the scruff of the neck and lead themselves into more. So that's part of what's coming with the Young Men It's Not Your Fault, But It Is Your Fight series. And I don't know if I'll be able to dovetail it into the female side quite yet, but I'll definitely go over the virtues and the things that men need to look at in their own lives. There's definitely things that will make you a more viable mate for women, but it also drive you to build yourself into something worth having, right? Because I think that we're lacking that today. And nobody tells them. Nobody is telling young men how to do better for themselves. Instead, it's just keep doing what society has already done and things will be all right. Well, that's not what's going to make things better. If you just keep doing what feminism and society and your 9 to 5 tell you to do, and you think that your life is just going to get better and society is going to get better because of that, that's not the case. If you want things to get better, you have to fight for them to get better. And I don't mean like out in the streets fighting. I mean like you have to take a stand with your wallet, with your vote, with your actions, with how you carry yourself in your daily life. And I think that if enough men all do this, then our entire country stands to benefit. But we have to do it, right? Like I said earlier, OnlyFans wouldn't exist if so many men weren't paying to see women on the internet. So yeah, it's a horrible thing to be there, but guess what? The only reason it's thriving like it is because needy men are paying. It wouldn't exist absent them paying to see naked women on the internet. So stop paying to see naked women on the internet. You want to fix things in this country or worldwide, men have to step back into being self-disciplined, dominant forces in their lives. And if they don't condone something like internet pornography or OnlyFans, then they need to stop paying for those services, stop visiting those sites so that there's no traffic to them. That will shut them down. It's just the truth of the matter. And as for like the purpose, there's a level of men being trained to just work 9 to 5 jobs instead of seeking to build something themselves in this world. And don't get me wrong, the way that regulations and laws have been placed, it's not quite so easy to function like we would have 100 years ago as men. Thank you for that donation and welcome in Missing Mod. Yeah, I think that there's a whole bunch of things that are more or less easily doable, or at the very least, you can look into them as young men, right? There's a level of duty and responsibility every man needs to realize that he holds just for being a man in the world that we're in. There's a level of self-discipline that all men need to adhere to function within their life. And men cannot sit idly by and bitch about the way that the system is if they are also contributing to the way that the system is. Young man. Yeah. I'm just saying, for real, that I think there's a certain level of lost boy complex that has happened in America, and it's because the system has made it very hard to find your purpose, has made it hard to function as a man when you step into manhood, in comparison to the way it has been in the past. And because of that, the men that lack self-discipline, that lack accountability, that lack a bunch of things, because say they were raised in a one-parent household or what have you, they end up being the very men that are voting for the left or paying for OnlyFans subscriptions or whatever other thing that continues to propagate the fall of society. And if men would step back, realize they have a duty and accountability to act uprightly within the world, to ward off and fend off the internet nudity, all of these things, if men would take their place in the world in a godly, dominant way, things would be better across the board. And it's in large part the falling away because of men not being willing to stand their ground and do what they must do. Feminism definitely played its part in the downfall of the modern role of men in the world. And again, this is because men allowed that erosion to happen. Had men not allowed that erosion to happen or stood against it in meaningful ways, we wouldn't be seeing what we're seeing. But now the public school is run primarily by feminism. Many of the outskirt prominent Protestant churches are feminism driven. All these feminist centers that are driving culture are also depleting young boys of everything they need to become men, whether it's single mother households or the public school system or the overly gayified Protestant churches that are helping do this. So it is the case now that men have to make a meaningful effort to become the men they were meant to be. And so this is me saying that the project I'm working on with the young men, It's Not Your Fault, But It Is Your Fight, is going to go over some of the basics that men need to start actually looking at for themselves. You need to look at how to instill a level of self-discipline within yourself. You have to cut out the indecisiveness. You have to be able to make choices and sit with the choice and take the responsibility of the choices that you make. You have to understand that you have a duty by being a man in the world. And if you take a position where you marry and you have children, now you have duties and responsibilities there. But you are the driving force of the world as a man. It is your position in this world to make that worth something. Women, you out there, again, like I said earlier, I'm not a woman, but I would say that if a woman wants to see the world get better, then they should also look at the more traditional ways that we have functioned in the past and realize that the feminist movement has eroded what it means to be a woman. It has destroyed the value of being a woman in popular culture. And if we want to bring that back, the most meaningful way to do it is to be a good, godly woman who's seeking to build a family and show the world that there is great value in that. Don't go show your butthole on the internet. That's one. Don't do that. Don't act in the way that the world shows all these women acting, because it is an erosion of what you should be as a woman. The feminist movement has eroded what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. And if you think about it, that means that feminism has been the doorway that has allowed the gay movement to gain a foothold and move at great strength. It's what's allowed the trans movement to take its place. It's what's eroded the Christian foundations or the Christian organizations within the country. All of these things have taken downfalls because of this. And it is only by the strength of men willing to stand up and be men that we're going to turn the ship around. It's the only way. So men need to adjust the course of the ship, and women that are good and godly need to assist. Stand with the men who are doing it. Show women what it means to be a good feminine woman. And together, maybe we can start righting this ship. Because if we don't, I want you to go and look up every country where you have large numbers of disaffected young men with the inability to find work or build families. Because I bet you find a trend there. And it's not a trend we want to see here, but we're trending towards it right now. Okay? We are moving rapidly towards this. And I promise you don't want to see what's at the end of that road. You would much rather men step into their masculine power and actually build families and start reasserting where we should be in this country. Because if we don't, what happens is we end up with a whole lot of military-aged men really angry at women, really angry at government, really angry at everything. You want it fixed, but you need action to do so. But now the question is, why? You spurred at me on Discord. Okay. Well, I just assume he will be on. See you in a bit. Wait, what? Who's a what's it? I don't know how long I'm actually going. We shall see. But this is a good topic and it needs talked about. So, although I didn't intend to do like a full blown talk today about it, you know. Okay, Smoking Spaceman. Hold on. I'm going to look at Smoking Spaceman's messages real quick here. So, Smoking Spaceman, I do understand what you're saying in here. Part of what I'm saying isn't I'm telling them to do any specific thing. I'm trying to tell them that they have a role as men. And as men, they should fulfill the role of being men in a meaningful way in their lives and in our society. And that women shouldn't be acting like, I don't know, Lilith or Jezebel in their lives. If we want a good and healthy and strong society and better futures for children, we need men acting like men, women acting like women, building families and teaching children how to be that for the future. I don't disagree with some of the things that you are saying. I just don't think that the way things are shaping up right now can lead to good. I think it leads to, like I said earlier, armies of disaffected young men that want to see the collapse of everything, including the opposite sex. And I don't think that that leads to a good place for anyone. And if I'm being really fair about this, it's not, it is feminism, but more than feminism. It's just walking away from like tradition, from, I would call it Christian traditions, right? Marriage, children, family building, community building through church and community. But like feminism and anti-religion has pushed against that for a long time. Like, women, you should be in the workforce. Women, put off your childbirthing years. All of those things, I think, have been extremely detrimental to our nation. And so, as much as, yes, I know that most of my chat agrees with these things, what I'm saying here isn't just for my chat. What it is for everyone who falls across this video. And I'm also going to try to clip this and put it on other streaming platforms and short form content, because it does need to get out to people. There's a whole lot of young men out here that are just discouraged, don't know how to find a mate, are angry at the whole world because they can't find a mate, and they don't understand why. But in regards to that, what they end up doing is running to the red pill, and the red pill is giving them a whole bunch of data points and no good path forward. And so what happens is those young men read all this information from the red pill, become more and more angry, and turn on women as the enemy, turn on everyone else as their enemy, and want to see the whole system burn rather than understand what's actually happening, right? Because the red pill doesn't explain why all these things are happening. It just says it is happening. It just says women are behaving this way. Men, you should do this thing. Go build muscle, build money, all this stuff. But then what ends up happening is either these men become even more disaffected, angry, and walking away from building a family and just sleep with every random woman they can find, right? Or they seek to destroy everything. And neither of those are good. Neither of those fix the problem. There are fixes for this problem. And I think that if we can stop staring at data points and guessing what they mean, and actually look at the trends we see, like the falling away of the importance of family and gender roles and all these things, and realize that red pill saying, well, look at all these girls showing their butthole on the internet. Well, it's not just that women are doing that. It's the fact that men are willing to pay for women to do that. If men stopped paying for women to do that, then there wouldn't be a market for it in the first place. I agree with you, Never Lucky Rubber Ducky, but there's plenty of young men that aren't terminally online and still see the world this way because they see it often enough, whether it's in television and all these other things. I've talked to guys in rural Montana that aren't terminally online, and they have some of these same issues that they're seeing today on the online space. And I think one is it's noticed on the internet first, and then the world slowly but surely realizes the things that have been talked about on the internet later. There is in fact a birth rate crisis. And yes, touching grass is important, and building social skills and trying to build a friend group and find a mate is important. You got to touch grass to do those things. But the fact that there is a birth rate crisis means that there's something else going on, because most of our country is not terminally online. There's tons of people that have no idea about this internet culture, and they can't find a mate. They don't know what's going on. They don't know why this shit's all screwed up. So the truth of the matter is, we're being affected whether they're online or not. They are touching grass and they're still having problems. A whole nother chunk of this Never Lucky Rubber Ducky is I am 42 years old, and I have friends across the board over the last decade who their marriages have broken apart because there's no fault divorce, and there wasn't even infidelity or real problems. There was just, I'm not happy, boom, walk away, children in a one-parent household, everything's fucked. Because it's become completely acceptable to live that way. Just let families break up, tear apart, everything, right? And like I said, there's not very many families that I know that are in my age range that are still together. Most of them, in fact, have divorced, walked away, and the children are now in broken homes, and things are all screwed up. Yeah, I've already said that. The system is made up that way, but men have to step into being men again and stop supporting the things that are making the system continue pushing the feminist way. It shouldn't be all about women. It shouldn't be men paying for women on the internet. It shouldn't. All of those things need to be pushed back on, because the system is here for everyone, not just women, right? That's part of the problem, is we allowed the system to assert itself to a point where women could be married to the state, have a bunch of children out of wedlock, and get tax dollars from everybody else in order to raise those children, even though in the old days we would have said, sorry, if you're not married and you're having children, you're going to have to go to the church. And then it was at the church's choice whether or not they got help. But you shouldn't, like, the way that things have developed go right along with the feminist trend of women are supremely important. We should give everything to them, even at the detriment of everyone else. Peacefully, you say. I'm not worried about the happiness angle. I'm saying if people get married, you have a bunch of metrics here, right? You have commitment, you have duty, you have all these other things. Happiness is a byproduct of pursuing purpose. And if there isn't purpose because society has told you that it's fine to do whatever the hell you want and not hold to your decisions and have zero accountability for things you do or have to earn, guess what? Purpose falls away, and then happiness is so fleeting that you're chasing it every day of your life for the rest of your life, unable to find it because you have no purpose or drive to do the things that you should. And at the root of all of this is strong men who are following God and morality. You could say just good, strong, moral men. For anybody who doesn't believe what I believe, you could say good, strong, moral men leading the way that they should. The system doesn't get so screwed up, okay? We shouldn't have this, and part of it is the fact that we've become so damn libertarian that it's do whatever you want so long as it doesn't hurt me. Not so long as it doesn't hurt others. It's so long as it doesn't hurt me specifically. Well, thank you, JS, for the raid. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Welcome in. The problem is that, again, when I started all of this conversation earlier, I said young men are not being trained to be men. They're being kept in some weird adolescent phase the whole of their lives. The same is true for women. If you go and have a conversation with somebody who's in their early 30s or their 20s, those don't seem to be adults in the way that they did when we were that same age. And that bugs me a lot, because what it means is that popular culture and parenting and the public school and every system that exists is only training the next generations to be big children who rely on the government and don't understand social dynamics and don't understand duty or building families. And I think that if we don't fix that, if we don't teach young men to be the men that this country needs, then the country will continue to erode until we're a whole bunch of big babies that get taken over by whatever country has enough animus to do so. That, or like I said earlier, we'll end up with massive amounts of disaffected young men who are strong enough to do damage and don't know where to place their energy. And that's when you get free fall and collapse and war within your own borders. And we already have enough people disaffected. Look at the left. And they're trying to pull in every single person they can. Disaffected young men are kind of easy to manipulate. So they're dangling whatever they can in front of them, trying to get them to join their side in order to take down the system. And guess what? To young men, that will feel like purpose. It'll feel so good to finally have a purpose that they'll do it, even though it is at their own detriment. It's pretty cool. Yeah, online is a form of frontier, and that is, in fact, I've had this conversation recently too. The reason that online gaming and gaming in general has become such a massive thing is because people don't get the sense of purpose that they did in human history. They don't get to conquer and build and be the hero and do these things like they have in the past. And they have a very twisted belief of what those things mean in the modern era, because everything has become twisted and Disney twisted. Like everything's Disney, everything's this weird version of reality, and it's pushed into the heads of children from the time that they're born until the time that they're adults, and they don't even understand what self-discipline, hard work, accountability, all of these things look like. Again, another part of the breaking of how things should be. But video games give that to them. They give them the being a hero and a sense of purpose and a drive and all of these things. And well, guess what? Nobody in the outside world is showing them how they're supposed to do it in reality. Good to see you, Jeremy Ryan. So the question becomes like, how do we fix that? Well, we need two-parent households. We need men teaching the next generation of young men to be men. We need men to stop paying to see women nude on the internet so that companies like OnlyFans fall away. We need a shift in culture towards a more wholesome, moral, strong, gender, actual sex and gender base, right? Men are men who have a role in society, and women are females that have a role in society. And that stuff has to be reasserted, and men have to be strong enough to hold those things in place and stop being weak in the knees at every damn thing that comes along, enough that society gets to crumble because of it. Now, this doesn't mean I'm blaming everybody that is male for letting this happen. This has been a creeping, nasty poison that has slowly but surely eroded the whole of the world, not just America. And it will take all of us who realize that we have a role to play in this, and we need to train the next generation to also play their role as men to do better. Thank you, Stamy. Big $2 from Stamy says, Abe Dinkus is not a stinkus. Thank you. Thank you, good sir. I appreciate it. So that's part of what I'm saying. This corrosion and degradation that we're seeing, degeneration that we're seeing, is because there hasn't been a strong masculine role within this country in quite some time. We've allowed everything to be eroded to treat men like children until they're dead. Everything's Disney. Everything's not real. And that's the other thing. We're in the first world countries, everything seems like soft and silly and not real. But you go outside of the US to any developing country, and you find very quickly that they still very much realize how nature works, that men are men, women are women. They very much do realize that they have self-discipline and duty and a responsibility to their family and their community. It's only really in the West where we've become so comfortable that we don't hold to any rules of nature the way that we should. We've just let shit slide off into the abyss. Yeah, I'm not asking anybody to make people make. We have to, as men in our own lives, hold to being good men and raise children that also know how to be good people in society, and not put money into things that are causing further degradation and degeneration in our country. Studies on OnlyFans demographics reveal that a majority of the platform subscribers are actually married men, not single men. Research indicates that approximately 89% of OnlyFans users are married. That right there, that's a problem. That's a huge freaking problem. Right there. No, it's not about ending comfortability in order to fix the problem. It's the problem of we got comfortable, and because we were comfortable, we allowed ourselves to become complacent to what reality is. We allowed things to creep in that said, you don't actually have to be this thing anymore. You can be a T-Rex. We let go of reality, not comfort. Comfort's not the problem. Comfort mixed with a willingness to let go of how reality works. Right? We have shrugged off all self-discipline, all responsibility. And I don't mean you guys in the chat. I mean, as a society, as a first world nation, things got comfortable, and a huge amount of the population said, well, let women and men get divorced for no reason. Let boys be girls and girls be boys. Let every perversion they want happen, because guess what? We're comfortable and it doesn't matter that much. We don't even need to have kids anymore. Just get comfortable and don't worry about it. Think about it. It's not even about progress versus regression. It's about a realization that there is a responsibility that humans have to each other, to themselves, to their family, to the country, to whatever it is. There's too much of just do as thou wilt is the whole. I don't think that that's good in the long run at all, because always going to come to opposition. And so long as we avoid opposition because I just want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to have to, prove that there's something good about it, we'll just keep doing what we're doing until we're sold out to China or Russia or India or whatever nation is going to hold the traditional values long enough that they can supersede us. Because that's where we're going. I know that the problem is very old. I get that. But if my option is to fight what's happening and try to make it better, or give up and let shit fall into flames and my children to suffer because of it, I'm going to fight for better. That's just the truth. I'm not going to say, yeah, let things keep getting worse and worse and worse until my children and my children's children are suffering worse than I ever did, and nothing works, and the whole of our country is not recognizable. I would rather fight for things to get better, for us to all do better. Well, you said it's either regression or progress past this for this current point. And in stating it that way, it seems like you're saying either we go back to tradition or we shrug tradition and see what happens, because there's no way to move forward without holding to tradition that isn't full progression. And if full progression is what we move towards, then that's what we've been doing for the last 4 decades, 5 decades, 6 decades. Looks like things are getting worse. Looks like the birth rate's going down. Looks like men are less men and women are less women. Like, there is no, this dichotomy of progress versus regress doesn't make sense to me, because what is actual progress and what is actual regression, right? Because holding to tradition isn't regression by definition. It's just holding to tradition that has existed. Progress, as far as like science goes and new technology, fine, great. There's nothing, I'm not saying that there's anything bad with that. But if we're talking about social progress, well, social progress is what at this point? We've got the equal rights between men and women. We've got equal rights between races. We've got equal everything, every which way. If there's any further progress that we're talking about, that's like what at that point? No, I'm not thinking you're using leftist terms. I'm saying, what is progress at this point? Because systematically, there isn't some thing that we can progress into other than making some kind of across the board fix that says this system is flawed and screwed up. What we're doing isn't working. We don't want to keep moving forward with what we're doing. We have to reassert some level of actuality, normalcy, and accountability. Otherwise, I don't. What do you mean progress on Roe v. Wade? I think we should ban abortion across the board in every freaking state of the union. That's what I think. I would be willing to talk about like super extreme circumstances, but anything short of that is a no-go to me. I don't think I think interplanetary species would be all fine and good, but I don't see that it fixes any problems so long as we have the way that we currently work, right? Because the moment that humans have become comfortable and asserted some level of political animus on one side or the other, you still have to contend with these ideas. And at no point is the absolute libertarian thing capable of working. You cannot do what you want and everybody else leave each other alone all the way across the board and have it work. There has to be a baseline level of this isn't within people's rights. Taking of life arbitrarily is not within people's rights. Sorry, you don't have that right. You don't have the right to somebody else's goods and services unless it's a fair trade of some kind. Like there's no, like we can't function the way that we're currently functioning. Again, this all started with me saying I think that young men have to be taught to be good men, and there's been like I said earlier, a Lost Boys complex, Peter Pan complex that has set in because of Disney culture, because of the softening of everything, because of feminism in your schools and colleges and churches and everywhere you look. And men have not been capable and allowed to step into being men and building families. And because of that, it has led us forward into what we currently have, which is like Seth said earlier. I think it was Seth who gave the statistic. You have all these men paying to watch naked women on the internet instead of those women actually having to contend in the real world with being women and building families. They're getting rich off of men who are willing to pay money to see them naked on the internet. That's a male problem right there. Obviously, the female part is also in existence, but if people were willing to pay to see them, then that whole chunk of the economy wouldn't be able to exist the way that it does. So there's all these chunks, right? But there's a baseline in all of this that men have to step back into being men and guiding their family, their society, their community, all those things. And because we allowed the system to erode what it means to be a man in the general sense in our country, we get boys from birth to death. They're not shown how, they're not given the skills, they don't understand what it means. And again, this is not a shot at dudes, this is a shot at the fact that humanity has let it get to this point. And so now, as men, we have a responsibility to start fixing what we can to do better, to raise up good men, to show that it's unacceptable to behave the way that we are, to get control of their own lives, right? Build self-discipline, build responsibility and accountability, build commitment. In my personal opinion, build a relationship with Jesus Christ, right? Like all of these things are what kept things level and moving. And when we got comfortable, when we allowed feminism and progressive values step in, all the like extreme leftist stuff, the feminism, the LGBTQ, the all these things, we've let it just erode away everything in public schools, in churches, in businesses, in daily life, in families, in everything. And until men start being able to be men and stand in that gap and stop allowing all of these things to progress the way that they are, we're going to keep getting more of the same. And again, I said this earlier, there's a lot of new people in chat. Welcome in, Chris. Thank you for the raid, and thank you, JS, for your raid. Until we fix that piece of this system, then we don't have the controls needed. We have to have men that have enough conviction, self-conviction and self-discipline to stop functioning like a bunch of adolescent gooners. Is that to me, Smoking Spaceman? Because I'm unsure what you're saying. I don't want red pill stuff. And I don't think that I even have said anything that is red pill. I want men to have self-discipline. I want men to be upright and honest and good. And part of that would be they don't sleep around with women. They don't do these things simply because they get badge, they get pussy for doing it. No. I want men to build themselves into something that is self-disciplined, that is reliable, that is good, and will stay away from paying for internet porn, will stay away from funding and allowing degeneracy in every facet of their life. And no, yes, it's Bible coded, but it's not red pill. I'm not for. Okay, tell me what I'm saying. This red pill, besides being No, because red pills is blame throwing all the time. I'm not blaming women for the dating market. I'm not like none of the stuff that I'm saying that men have a responsibility to the whole of society, and most of what's going on is because we as human beings, especially as men, have not held to the place we are supposed to, stood our ground, and made things right. You're still failing to ask what exactly do single men gain, because ultimately you need them to value women and or family anymore when the past sold that responsibility to the state. Well, first we have to overhaul some of that. Obviously, the state has to be changed for the betterment, right? Right now, women can marry the state. I've already said that earlier in this talk that we can't allow for a state that empowers somebody to act irresponsibly repeatedly and then take care of them for life over it. We cannot do that. So whether it's a man or a woman, they shouldn't be able to be cared for really poor decision making over and over and over again. We can't. There's a whole bunch of systems that need fixed. I'm not saying that I'm the man with all the answers, but what I am saying is I would like to see a place where young men could grow into good Christian men who are trying to make this country better and to stave off a complete degenerate collapse of everything in this country. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, sure, men have been sold this for, but the problem is we still have this leftist paradigm that's just a complete erosion of all of traditional values. I don't like just describing things and saying that that's just how it is. And from everything I've seen with the red pill community, what I see is like them telling everybody to get rich and sleep with women and don't worry about building families. And that's disgusting to me. Yeah, hold on. Okay. So anyway, this was me just saying that I'm going to start working more on that project. Not that this is that project. I'm working on little episode lessons for like, what is duty in the life of a man in a family setting, or trying or aspiring to build a family. What is self-discipline for a man in that position? What kind of commitment is needed? How traditionally we found purpose and how that purpose is less apparent and findable in the modern era, and all of the things that I think that are entailed into this, because the birth rate crisis is on the rise, marriage rates are down, divorce rates are up, substance abuse and unhappiness in the female persuasion is sky high. So I was saying these things because I think that there are certain pieces and parts that are solvable and findable. And if men knew what they can do for themselves, and not in the red pill way, but in like spiritual development and life choice making, that they would benefit. And I know that, again, like I said earlier, my chat, for the most part, probably knows a lot of this, probably already has some level of understanding with this, or already Christian. But there's plenty of young men out there in, say, the middle or in the left that have no idea why things are so screwed up. And all they've heard is MSNBC and CNN because they live in a state that mostly has that. And they think, because everything they've ever been told is that the right is evil and stupid and doesn't know what they're talking about, that they're unwilling to look at it. And I'm going to take pieces and parts of these lessons and put them on other platforms as well as YouTube, but also other media platforms, so that maybe there's a chance men who are looking for something more in line with what it means to be a man.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, actually, not happening. I was looking for we even get one.
Yeah, but that would be that's a great black pill point. Drafts and wars take men that are or could be like what I'm talking about and sacrificing them, leaving weak men behind once again, like happened in the world wars. Yes, yes, wars do happen. But again, if we had enough upright, good men in our nation to stand up and say, that is not a just war, we are not doing that across the board when it's actually wrong, we wouldn't see those things happening as much. We wouldn't see a sweeping stance to take to war, because you would have men actually standing up and saying what is right or wrong. Because a nation that has an abundance of good, strong men who are building families, they're less likely to put up with bullshit from a government that wants to do things that the general populace doesn't stand for, doesn't agree with, which I think has fallen away because of the feminization of dudes. More and more, we see that the system is raising young men into not manly men, so that the system can continue to function how it chooses, because the men will just seek to appease the system and women and everything else. Because what's happening right now is the whole of the system is seeking to produce yes men in every direction, rather than masculine men who will stand for what's right and good in their family, in their community, in their country. That's what I think. Opinions. We've all got one. So that's the idea behind young men is not your fault, but it is your fight. Because young men in general, but young men have got to fight for the life that they want. Even though the system is screwed up. They didn't screw it up. It was the people before us that screwed it up, or the people before them, or the people before them. But you as a dude, your responsibility is to make what you can of the life that you got. So there's that. What do you guys think? Thanks, the Penovers. I appreciate it.
I'm maintaining the stars. I'm trying, because I've kept hers. Dude, yeah, my cooking and my enchanting is all maxed.
That's fine. See, there's a certain level of, why should I care about what comes after me? And I'm not saying you said this. I'm not, by no means am I saying you said this, but I've heard this from leftists a lot, where I'm like, I want things this way so that my kids can have this and their kids can have it, because I want what's best for my legacy, but on top of that, for all of our families and children in this country as the country progresses over time into the future. I would like to see things function well in the way that I believe both God and nature intended. And I get asked, why does it matter? You won't be here. It doesn't matter. After you're dead, you won't know any better. And it's like, that way of thinking is like saying, that way of thinking is, why does it matter? You won't be here anyway. Is like, sell out the next generation for your own pleasure. That's basically what they're saying to me when they say that. Why do you even want that? Why does it matter what comes after you? You're going to be dead anyway. Well, because I want my children to have better than I had. I want their children to have better than that. I want everybody to do better than what came before them. And if somebody comes to me and says, why would you? No. I'm saying the left says this to me, Smoking Spaceman. But what you said reminded me of what they have said. I don't think that you believe that. I think that you want things to be better. But when leftists ask me those questions, it's like they're saying flat out to me, like, your kids don't matter. Your kids' kids don't matter. You shouldn't worry about it. It shouldn't matter to you. And it's like, that is so stupid to me. Like, that is so short-sighted and stupid. The reason America has become what it is today is in large part because people did care about what their legacy was. They did care about what they left for the next generation or for every generation after them as Americans. And the moment we sell that down the creek, there isn't an America anymore. You've sold the country out if you don't care about what the next generation or the generation after that gets. If you don't care, then you actually don't care about your country at that point. You don't care about what you don't.
Although I always had my fear about capitalism. And it annoys me to not be able to do that, which is fun. So, like, I don't know. Like, making a shanty. The one that I made at Taylor. I don't know. Or I might just drop mining with the Druid.
Yeah, they never saw it come to fruition, but they wanted betterment. They wanted things to be good. They wanted a strong nation where each next generation would benefit from the greatness of what had been built, just like I want for my children and my children's children. And it's the very thing that the left seems to not care about. They'll trade it away. Go ahead and just let every person immigrate here. Don't worry about legal or illegal. Just let the legacy go to whoever enters next. Just sell it all out. I can't stand that shit at all. If anything, with the Canada topic you guys are talking about, if anything, we should just annex, just make them territories. Because, no offense, Voltaire and other Canadians in chat, no offense, but I don't want you voting in America's politics. Not right off the bat, especially. Because I understand that we see eye to eye on enough things to be like each other. We do not see eye to eye on enough for it to function well. The reason I say this is I see a extremely over-psychologized populace in Canada. Every conversation falls to psychology and some version of feelings and psychology. And if we allow Canada to join the United States, what will happen is we will have a completely liberalized US because they will side with California and New York in majority votes, and they will allow a sweeping leftist government to take place. That's what would happen because the populace of Canada is mostly on the liberal ends, just like in the US, and it will completely sway things too leftist.
Well,
It would topple us into socialist or communist governmentation almost immediately.
you know, like, we used to have to like gather them in the bag in order to like make those. I think that's been done away for a long time. That might not be here. We should have people.
Oh, for those of you who have just recently joined, I told a story earlier about going to Walmart. It was a very funny story about how I had a little bit of a freak out because of super heavyweight women on electro scooters, even though they had nothing wrong with them, blocking up the cheese aisles like land sharks who needed their fat. But in the future, Abe is starting to do
Oh, I'm not the police.
members only Dark Abe streams where I will let you all hear some of the events and stories and rage-inducing moments that Abe has gone through, and you will get to see me less filtered and more harsh. Not that you're not going to get to see Dark Abe outside of the memberships only streams, but you will see him exclusively as Dark Abe in those Dark Abe streams. Now, you'll still see him here also for debates and stuff because there's a shift happening. But as that happens, the members only are going to be filled with contentious or hilarious moments that I have been through, dealt with, and you'll get to hear the stories. So keep an eye out for those members only Dark Abe streams and make sure you get your memberships. And as you can see, this dono goal at the top is my 1 week goal. That is going to be a thing I'm going to start doing. I'm going to try to keep a 1 week goal at the top. If we meet the goal by the end of the week, each week, we will get a full length Dark Abe stream. And I'll try to make those, if we meet the goal, Dark Abe interactive streams where you guys can come up and rant with me, argue with me, however you want it, or even direct me to go to other spaces, other people's panels, other people's shows, and be Dark Abe there, not just on my own channel. So keep that in mind. Good to see you all along, Nate. Welcome in. A little bit late. So, Nate, tonight I went over a little bit of what I see as like a lost boy complex that's happened in the United States. The need for episodes of It's Not Your Fault, but It Is Your Fight, which I'm working on. I went over some of the reasons I think that we really need those episodes, some of the issues that are going on in society, and how good, strong men could make the difference from the foundation. And a lot of shifts and changes will happen just by having good, strong men being developed from boyhood into manhood. And we would get away from all of this adolescence till the day we die. I talked about the future Dark Abe members only streams that are going to be coming. I talked about a whole bunch of random stuff because chat brought stuff up. So I ended up diverting into those topics some as well. Talked about fat people on scooters blocking the cheese in Walmart. Talked about the weekly goal being at the top and how we could do special events based on it, like Dark Abe open panel or Dark Abe goes to other panels and shreds people. If we make the goal, we can do, if we make the goal, we vote on where we're sending Abe or what event we're doing. I am live tonight. I was a little bit late getting on here. I was going to do it at 7, ended up at 8. Sorry about the lateness. I'm planning a stream on Wednesday. I did have a show planned, but that has now moved to the weekend. So Wednesday is now going to be a different format stream, possibly an open Ask Abe Anything panel. We'll see. I'll let you know ahead of time, and I will put it in the Discord. What else? What else? Oh, you're on a very early morning shift. I see. Hard times make strong men. So, Seth, I kind of went over this last stream. So there's more to the saying, right? Everybody says the strong make good times make weak men make hard times, hard times make strong men. I think there's a bunch of in between stuff in there. And I think if we understand all of the pieces that go to it, we can see where we are and we can see whether or not it's reversible. So I don't know how many of you guys in the chat have read things like The Fourth Turning or books like that, but there's a certain economic connection to that as well. As a nation grows, as its population grows, as the comfort sets in, as trade deals change, as the dominance of that country on the world stage changes, there's trackable trends in every great world power that has ever risen. And those are almost always followed a very particular path. And we see the rise, changes in the country, decadence setting in, economic collapse, leading to expansion, that expansion leading to further strength for a period of time under a more rules-based dictatorial style government, and then finally a collapse of the system where it has to reform and regrow. And we've seen this in almost every kingdom and great nation that's ever come before us. By looking at that and then following the cycle of strong men, good times model, what you do is you can track out where we're at and what's going on and what needs to happen to try to affect change. Yeah, the Strauss-Howe generational theory. But there is a bunch to it too. The revised Strauss-Howe generational theory by Smoking Spaceman. Hard times make strong men make good times make feminist women make hard times. Actually, that's not a bad rendition, but it would be more, I think, Smoking Spaceman, I think it would be strong men make good times make weak men allow feminism makes hard times. Because it's the weak men are still functioning within the good times created by the strong men, right? And during the good times is when all of the decadence and decay is allowed to set in. And because either the strong men have become too old or too outnumbered by the weak men, by the feminists, by the decadence of the system, then you get the collapse. Then you get the fall of the system. Well, that is a fair estimation, Wally, and good to see you. So, yeah, there's that. Now, I think some of the stuff I've got in place is going to be really good. I am still trying to iron out which days, which things go on. Which days, to you, my chat, which days do you have open enough to take part in or enjoy a debate show with me on the Abe side, right? Just Abe show of a debate show. What day of the week / time frame is good for you guys? Are these the weekend usually good, like a Saturday or a late day Sunday, or what would you say to that? Because right now I'm working out like when the young men stream is, when the interviews and different things, the panel shows, all of that. I'm trying to work out a weekly schedule. And if I can work that weekly schedule out, that would be helpful. But with the debate show specifically, I will need you guys able to join if you choose to. And so I would need to know what day is a good day for that generally. Weekends and Mondays? What's this about? Sovereignty? Smoking Spaceman? Are we being detained? Abe is still playing with another Sovereign Architects game. It's time to change the game. Fair. It's fair. It's very fair. It's time to rise with Abe, ladies and gentlemen. Rise with me. Were you on Twitch poll before everyone switched to YouTube? Ah, now see, Bandit, if I told you that, I might be giving away pieces of my game. And actually, that's a really interesting question. What would make you ask that question? Because I haven't been asked that question yet. Been doing live streams for a year on YouTube. I have not been asked that specific question until you, as far as I know. I think we need to advance society to cyberpunk levels. Holographic Keanu Reeves will tell us what to do. Sounds iffy, Wicked Wally. It sounds real iffy. Might be a little glitchy too, I'm not sure. I think Wicked Wally's voting for game progression. Uncle Jorms. Wally, Wally, time for your neuroplane. You guys are funny. I vote for the future that gives me laser vision. I like that. That sounds like a good future to me too, by the way. Can you imagine, Wally, doing duels with laser vision? That'd be a wild time. All right, Kano, calm down. That actually reminded me of Boondock Saints. Okay, Rambo, get your fucking rope. Fuck you, I know shit. Because I'm actually trying to put together a debate. I already have the debaters, but I'm unsure of my memory. I think I remember you being around at the tail end, maybe being on Hippy Dippy or two. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's say that I have been observing all these spaces for enough years to make it under what would I say, to make a very accurate model of where we are and who is what and where they are. I guess I will say that I didn't take part in a lot of things, but I was there for more or less all the things. The little stream engine they could. I'm pretty sure Elon has an experiment to do. Do you want to volunteer? Interesting. I actually know people who have flat out said they would do the first Mars mission. And I'm like, you're going to die out there, right? Like, if you have kids, if you have family, I know you're excited and all that, but you're not coming back from that initial one, or probably not for the first several if it happens. So unless you're willing to just sacrifice everything you have here and all your relationships, then we'll see. I understand that, Smoky Spaceman. I'm not saying that. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm not saying there's a problem with going. I'm saying if you're a married man with children, probably not the best choice to go to Mars, right? If you want that adventure and you don't have any extreme commitments here on Earth, I don't see why you wouldn't, if that's the case. And there's a lot of excitement in that for people that want to be the first, people that want to go and make something incredible. Totally cool. One hell of a frontier to explore and conquer. I agree with that. I totally agree with the sentiment that it's an incredible first, like it's a new thing. It's a frontier. We haven't had new frontiers in a long time. I get it. But like some of the guys I'm talking to are like 48-year-old married dudes with kids or older. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably not the one to go. Just throwing it out there. An empathy debate between Emmett and Phil KOE. Really interesting. That's pretty funny. I volunteer to take the money for being listed as going. I would go full Homestead Hermit for that game. Yeah, that's could you imagine being the first Martian potato farmer? Be something. That'd be really something. Then there'd be like stories about how you saved the Martian colonies with your potato production. Yep. That's part of the issue that I have with the way things are going right now. Never lucky rubber ducky. It used to be a norm to see families starting in the 20s, right? A man getting married, starting to have children, building his life. Now the average age of marriage is like in the 30s. People aren't even having kids till their 30s. That's a crazy thought when you realize that like women's window of childbearing years becomes dangerous and precipitously less possible after 35. Like it is better to build families early, and we've allowed the system to be eroded so far and so badly that men will be very hard pressed to even do that. Now, there is one option here that gets overlooked a bunch, and that's intergenerational families, right? Where we move back to a more traditional standpoint where you have a homestead or a family property, and you have the parents and the kids and the kids' kids and the kids' kids. And that way, there's still the ability to care for the family financially and still have traditional roles within the overall stead. And I think that we're going to probably see those who are still seeking traditional values moving back towards multi-generational family properties or households, because that's the only way in the current economy to keep doing it, because otherwise, who knows? So was that an agreement, by the way, in the chat on like Saturdays through like Monday for looking at open dates for debate? Like, and by the way, the debate shows like 4 contestants at a time, and it'll be in order to build good argumentation, rhetoric, contend with other people, get used to being on debates in debate platform. And if we can grow it into something bigger, I would love to do that with you guys, but I have to first get it functioning. And the only way to do that is to invite you guys up here and try, right? In Virginia, we have 38-year-old grandparents. I met a guy in Walmart that was his own grandpa. Okay. I don't disagree with that. I lived in Montana, and I know people in their 40s that have grandkids. So I'm 42, and I don't, but I have friends that are my same age group that do. So, but I didn't start having children until after I was out of the military, which I was like, 25. So, tested my second device on the panel today. It worked. That's badass. Nate, did you get your new device, or are you talking about your a secondary device that's not your new one? No, I'm not trying to do verbal combat style. What I'm going to do, Bandit, is it's like a mid-form debate. So it'll be like 10 to 20-minute debates, and it'll be a topic, and people will be assigned the position. I'm going to transition it into more of a game style, but this one will be specifically to hone rhetoric, to teach people to be a little bit more capable when it comes to debate. So it'll still be kind of game show-ish, and I do want to do something like that in the future. But to start with, it's going to be like 4 contestants, and it'll be debating different topics against each other. And they'll each have a certain amount of, you could say, like lives. They each have 3 hearts. If they lose 3, they're out. And we keep going till the end. But the whole idea is, in order to strengthen people's capability to handle fast thinking in a debate format. And I'll also host full-length debates. I'm fine with that. I will host like formal 1 hours, things like that. But for now, I just want a like short form. It might even be just fun topics to begin with, just so that people get used to being convincing in their argumentation and contending with the ideas of others. What days am I thinking of doing that? Well, I was asking the chat if they want weekends, like a Saturday or a Sunday evening, or how they want it. And all I've heard so far was like weekends or Monday. Oh, Wicked Wally, you mean this Saturday? That's more Saturdays there, I'm seeing. Because I think I could do that, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. But I got to work out kinks, which means I need people to join for the first few. I already have like a roadmap for how I want to set it up and stuff, and how it's going to function and all of that. And I have a prompt page in the Discord for people that have thrown in a bunch of prompts in there that I can use to begin with. But Abe, do YouTube community poll? Okay. I can kind of do that. Okay. Let's do, if I can remember where that is, actually. In fact, where was that? Oh, widgets, right. Here. Shoe, a really big shoe. Okay. There. There we go. There's a poll. And start poll. There we go. You guys can fill it in with the numbers. 1 for Monday, 2 for Saturday, 3 for Sunday evenings. That way I have it on this stream, what you guys all put in. And then I'll also do this on Discord either today or tomorrow, and you guys can vote there as well. And then I will compile them and see what works. Could. Okay. I mean, I could even host dual events or something too, but probably not every week, but 3312. Sounds like a combo, Seth. That sounds like a combo. Oh, look at that. 50-50. Dang. That's wild. I didn't expect that, by the way. I expected you guys to pile in on that Saturday. That's what I expected. I really did. Oh, Chris, not Voltaire. Dang. That's a juicy poll right there, you guys. You guys are voting wrong. Oh my gosh. Are you going to debate them on that, Mo? Are you going to debate them on being wrong? Sunday evenings are weak on the streams because people go to bed early for the start of the work week. Will either really work or fail? If you want it on Saturday, then why are you asking? You should have picked Saturday. I wanted to see what chat says they want. I intended for it to be on Saturday, but I have a mostly open schedule when it comes to weekends. So Sunday evening or Saturday day or Saturday evening, any of those really work for the most part for me. So wanted to see what the consensus of chat was, though, because I have several people who do enjoy debating on debate shows and panels in the chat right now. So it's kind of perfect to ask them when they're open. And voila, I got 67% Saturday, 33% Sunday. There you have it, chat. There you have it. So, if you don't know, this weekend I won't be able to do the debate show just yet. Well, I might be able to. This weekend we have something coming. I will schedule it ahead of time and put it in the Discord and schedule it on YouTube so you guys all know. It's going to be a really fun event. I think everyone should show up. Watch for the posting. It's going to be a blast. Just throw it out there. It's going to be a blast. I may still host the debate show a different day this weekend just to get it up and running. Because like I said before, I've worked out a bunch of the kinks on the back end in StreamYard and OBS and getting assets gathered and put together and put into a brand on my StreamYard. But I need people in order to actually effectively test some of this stuff, like the rulings and all of that. So it'll be good to get this up and going. It'll be a lot of fun. Mo says, I'm always ready for more debates, just not on Saturday. I see. My schedule is only predictable for a few days at a time. Yes, Nate, I understand that very much so. Weird question, but with the stovetop hat, do you do better on vertical streams than most people do? I have not done very many vertical streams recently because it was bugging me in the StreamYard to do it. I should test that theory though, Bandit, because that would be freaking hilarious. If I did vertical streams with my top hat and they did really, really good, I might be keen to do dual streams to horizontal and vertical if that was the case. All right. So I may have to tailor and rig it a bit to do like the primary show Saturday and maybe little offshoot shows on Sunday evenings if the attention is there and people are up for it. Poor Monday. I know nobody loves Monday, Seahawk Daddy. Evidently nobody loves a Monday. So sad. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for an interesting spurg of an episode tonight. I think I meandered through some socially important things, gave some opinions, got a little bit heated at times. To anyone who missed the early stream, I did say this earlier. Abe is going to start doing some more aggressive style debate in general. But Abe is I am also going to start hosting members only Dark Abe streams. So, with that being said, keep an eye out for members only streams because they might get a little heated and a little fiery. And also, this donation bar at the top here, I'm going to set the donation at the beginning of each week. If we can meet the donation bar by the set day, we will do a celebration stream of some kind, whether it is a Dark Abe open panel or a invasion of some kind, or Abe debates the world, or whatever. We can do really fun things as long as we meet the dono bar each week. I haven't settled on exact numbers and events just yet, but keep that in mind. I probably will let you guys decide on some of those events as well. Abe in real life. Well, look, I'm kind of a multifaceted fella. I like to be cordial and laid back and kind, but there's a time and a place for an aggressive, hard-hitting, bastard-like effect, you know? And I think you guys have missed out on Abe's bastardliness sometimes. So maybe it's been a long time coming. Thanks for the fun, Scott. Have yourself a fine evening, sir. Yes. Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me. Yeah. I definitely won't do it at Ford's Theater. Okay. I learned that lesson a long time ago. Do you, ladies and gentlemen, have anything for me? I've spurred for the last 2 hours or so. Do any of you have anything you want me to address for you this fine evening? We've had a lot of really good chats and a lot of fun. Is there anything else? Anything you can think of? A start for you, y'all. Enjoy. Be real. Be true. Men always are. Thank you, Panelverse. And thank you for that big $2. That's a very kind gift from you. Maybe Chevrolet Theater is a better choice. I was thinking Kennedy Theater. Sorry. I couldn't resist myself. But yeah. Yeah. Yes, only one thing. Make the new debate show on Sunday. That is all, sir. Maybe I'll have to do a Saturday and Sunday edition or something, Mo, because there was enough votes that there will be some interest in a Sunday night show. So maybe I'll just do a different format for the 2 days and call it good. Have I addressed Anthony Carmelo? I have not. I may do that on Wednesday. You know, I've spoken a little bit on politics here and there. I haven't done a boatload, but we know that the Supreme Court has the birthright citizenship coming up. We have the Carmelo Anthony thing going on. We have we have a whole bunch of different other what we call flashpoint type events happening. We have the stabbing in the UK by the Southeast Asian man, I guess you would call him. That the police then arrest the white fellow who dies in handcuffs, saying he's been stabbed, and they not believe him. We have a lot of flashpoint events going on, and if I didn't know any better, I feel like there's a great waking up that's happening in different places. Now, I don't know that this is like the full form awakening or if this is the precursor to awakenings, but it's starting to feel like something to me. And I don't mean that just in general, like in these countries because of these events. I mean kind of across the damn board. I'm seeing it all over the place. And I think politics are important, but I think they're downstream from culture and culture's downstream from theology. And I think it's important to hit on those first two more often than the political. However, the political is extremely important in our current era in the United States. And I would say we need to hold to our morals, hold to the foundations that we stand for, and push to win the midterms, push to win the next election so that we can actually drive effective, lasting change in this country. So I will address more in the future when it comes to these things. Go see Obsession. It is a low-budget, well-written, and acted 90-minute movie. It proves concept above AI bullshit. That's fair. I mean, I've had a theory on the whole AI thing for a while. I think AI is fun. I think that it's not good in the long run in a lot of ways, but the reason people enjoy it is because they can do things they can't do independently on time constraints and without equipment and all these other things. I think there will always be a greater appreciation for projects and materials made by real people, whether it's music or art or what have you. And even if it was the case that AI grew out of control and took over all of the industries, people are going to find greater value in things made by real humans because there will be novelty and importance to the fact that humans made this, because that's kind of how we work in reality. Just an opinion, just a theory, but that's what I think. All right, so For real, chat. Does anybody have a question for me? Right meow. Any questions, comments, concerns, insults, compliments, anything? Let me know. Let me know. If you guys give me just a moment, I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to play a song for you while I get a drink. I hope you enjoy this song. It's pretty awesome, but I'll be back shortly.
The sun, stovepipe straight, beard like a wire, eyes like thunder, voice like fire. That buried the truth in 65, but the man came back just to testify. No halo, no ghost, no holy show, just a dinkus walking tall and slow. I don't want your drama, I don't want your spin, I don't want the lies that the lies live in. Give me the raw truth, cut it clean with a blade. Abe Dinkus is back. Don't make me say it again. No flags to wave, no teams to cheer, just honest words in a dishonest year. From the grave I rose for one simple thing, the truth, the whole truth. Let freedom reign. I see the towers, I see the screens, divided houses, broken dreams, politicians dancing in their fancy suits, selling poison wrapped in pretty fruits. I split rails once, now I split the noise. Left, right, center, all the same toys. I ain't here for vengeance, I ain't here for fame, just one old rail splitter calling out your game. I don't want your drama, I don't want your spin, I don't want the lies that the liars live in. Give me the raw truth, cut it clean with a blade. Abe Dinkus is back, don't make me say it again. No flags to wave, no teams to cheer, just honest words in a dishonest year. From the grave I rose for one simple thing, the truth, the whole truth. Let freedom reign. Your savior, I'm not your brain, I'm just a dead man with a living demand. I don't want your drama, I never did, just the truth standing tall like I always did. Abe Dinkus walks among the living still, honest Abe resurrected, unbreakable will. Tall hat shadow fades into the night, but the words remain in the morning light.
Told you, that's a good song. Tell the truth, you like it, right?
So you have to come
I think you like it. I like it. And because I like it, then I think you must like it too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just conceited or something, but you know, I think you like it. I have not taken any of your comments about me personally, Bandit. Look, we all know in my heart I'm a tyrant, okay? and I'm polite and easygoing and laid back on here. But in reality, I'm actually a tyrant. And I do think that we should suspend habeas corpus, okay, and crack down and keep from having the South rise, okay? Just kidding. But I am the tyrant. Just kidding on the other stuff, but I am a tyrant. Don't forget that. This is my tyrant's crown. To anybody that doesn't know, isn't aware, this is the crown of tyranny. Nate, be safe out there, brother. I appreciate you coming in. All right. So, Mo, what kind of debates do you want to do? Because, look, I know this is probably going to turn some heads. Okay. So this is a moment for all of you. This is probably going to turn some heads. Are you ready? Are you ready? Sniper, welcome in, sir. Brother, how are you? Oh, you're off to bed? Have a good night. Have a good night. Yes. It's okay, so here's the tea. Are you ready? I'm beginning to think that empathy is real. However, not in the way that we have been using and thinking of it. I know this is juicy because I've already said that it doesn't, but I may be willing to debate this in the near future. I know I've already debated against Teriak and Rob Noor that it isn't real and that it's fake and gay. But in all the study and people watching and observation I've been doing, there may be a version of it that is true and real and important. Okay? So keep that in mind, because one of you out there might want to debate this with me. Just throwing it out there. It is a dangerous thought. You're right, Smoking Spaceman. It's a very dangerous thought. But what if it was the case, Smoking Spaceman, that I could read your mind? What if? Now, there was another thing asked of me earlier. I think it was Mo asking me funny questions. Like he was asking if I'm 217 or 216 years old or something like that. I know your game for most debate topics, Mo. I figured that much. I did. We have chatted briefly on that topic. You are correct, good sir. But, it seems to me that I know the counterposition of empathy is not real and that it's fake and gay or misused or broken or whatever you want to call it. But new thoughts and avenues have hit me that, well, let's just say refutation is a game we all play, and in some cases, it's not so easy to refute. I'm game for most debate topics. I can send you some topics, or you can send me some, and we can work through it. Okay. Sounds good to me. I mean, why not? Also, if anybody in the chat actually wants to do any full-length debates, but you don't want to do like the Swords of Reason style of it, let me know, because I'm more than willing to also host debates, whether you want them to be like off the beaten path or pre-records where we record it ahead of time and then you can post it up or we can post it up or however you want to do it. Just let me know. K-Dog says, I think people who are really good at, I don't know, the study of human reaction can predict pretty good what people will do. But mind reading, I don't know. I agree. There's a certain level of predictability in human behavior, right? When you start understanding both word usage, behavior, emotional control, emotional manipulation, all these different things that fall into brackets of human interaction and behavior, there is a lot that is predictable. Uncle Jorms says, I like empathy can be poison. I think you'd have to be foolish to believe that empathy can't be poison, because I think that nearly anything we do can be poison. Yes, I have a Discord. Hold on. I will link my Discord in the chat for you all. If you want to join, you are more than welcome to join my Discord. I don't think the link in my videos has been working for a bit, so I forgot to replace it, and now there it is for all. You can join. You're welcome to join. Yeah, there you have it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this isn't even supposed to be a full-length stream. It was just supposed to be a short, hey, I'm going to start doing members-only Dark Abe streams. And I want to do, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Lost Boy complex, because I think that there's some underpinnings and a lot of information there for why we're trending the way we are as a civilization. So that will be covered in my Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, But It Is Your Fight series. On that note, does anybody know who is streaming that could use a little push from a raid from Abe? Looks like AVG is live. Should we go to AVG, guys? Send you over to Daria's channel? Yeah, I think I will. Badass. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for a wonderful stream. I don't know if I will be back tomorrow, but I will be here for sure Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. This is my stream schedule that I have picked for myself. I'm going to try to be here from now forward on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. If we do start doing the debate shows on Saturdays, I will schedule that in as well. This weekend, we have a big show coming. Keep an eye out for it. Other than that, thank you all so much for being here this fine evening. God bless you all. Have a good night. And if I don't see you in the chats over the next day and a half, I will see you Wednesday evening. God bless you and have yourselves a great night. Oh, and make sure the AVG knows this is a presidential raid from Abe Dinkus. 4 score.